Well, for a while you were saying, where's Jose, where's all that? So now that the moment is almost upon us, how good are you feeling about unifying the belt?
I feel great, it's been a long time coming, but like I said, man, I said it on SportsCenter earlier today, train to your idols become your rivals, and I just wanted to fight, This guy, he was over here and talking about how when a possible matchup, how he would rather have fought Pettis before me and Pettis fought because Pettis is an easier fight and stuff. So it kind of pissed me off, rubbed me the wrong way. But we're finally here, and I just can't wait. I just can't wait to do the damn thing, get in there and fight. Fight one of the greatest of all time. He's one of the greats in our sport. But like I said before, it's time for a new era, and June 3rd, it's going to be a new era.
Well, you kind of set up my next question was, what do you think of him as a fighter? Obviously, he was the reigning champion for such a long time, and I feel like it's hard for any fighter to not really appreciate what Jose has done.
Yeah, people be like, oh, you disrespected this and that. I'm like, guys, at the end of the day, I'm going to fight this guy. I'm not disrespecting him. I'm using facts. I'm using his own words against him. And at the end of the day, I got to go in there and perform, So I'm not talking crazy, saying this, making assumptions. Everything I said is everything that he said. I used them against him. Facts is the greatest. You want to talk about facts, you want to talk about stats, look at the featherweight division. I hold almost every of them. If not, I'm on the top 3 in every record, whatever it is. I'm right there, and the stats, the facts, they all speak for themselves. He's a great fighter. You can't take away anything away from that 13 seconds. It is what it is. You get caught in this sport, and it happens. So at the end of the day, he's a great fighter. But June 3rd, I'm trying to be greater.
So the Jose you saw against Frankie at UFC 200, what kind of threats does that fighter present to you in this matchup?
We see. We see. You guys go look at the stats. You guys look at the way I fight. You guys look at the way he fight. You guys can tell me that. You guys tell me how you guys think it's gonna end, or what I can do. Because at the end of the day, I know what we gotta do. We got a plan. We got tricks up our sleeves. But yeah, he's not. He is what it is. I don't take too much time trying to break down and overthink my fights. We look, we get ready, and every single fight. Name one of the last fights in my last 10 fights where it was a fight, It wasn't really, I've been going out there, we've been dominating, and that's what we want to do. I want to dominate, and this ain't no different, I ain't treating this fight no different, The gold belt is nice, the belt is perfect, Everybody getting belts nowadays. I don't only want the undisputed belt, I want the undisputed career, guys. The undisputed career. When it's all said and done, I want them to be like, my gosh, this guy is the greatest to done it, I want, Demetrius got picture at 11, maybe 12, whatever it is. I want a picture like that with all my belts all over places and whatever, all that cool pics. So that's what I want. I want to be one of the greatest,
Well, when people talk about Jose, obviously they talk about the kicks, and fighters often think they're ready for them until they actually feel them, and then they realize how intense they are. So strategically, are you worried about that? Or switching stances an idea for you?
You know what? At the end of the game, this is fighting, this is what it is, they always say get ready for his leg kicks, and he's telling me this and that, like he's saying that I'm no different, or I didn't fight no caliber guys, whatever, like what you said, perfect. It's not the same till you get in there with me. All these guys been telling me, if nobody with the Cub fight, nobody thought I had a standing chance. They were saying like take Cub down. I was like, guys, I'm a striker. What are you guys talking about? I never shot in my life. I don't know if I did. I don't remember it, but I never shot in my life in that fight. So before that fight, so why would you guys tell me to take the guy down? And then with the Pettis fight, they thought so his kicks and his whatever boxing was going to be too much. And look how that fight planned out. At the end of the day, we're getting ready. I'm not stupid. I'm not. This game, these guys over here. I said it before. These guys over here playing checkers, I'm over here playing chess. We're on a whole different level. There's levels to this thing, and I just can't wait. We're getting ready for it. And like you said, we don't know if I'm ready until June 3rd. June 3rd, buy the pay-per-view and tune in, and you guys can watch. You guys want to see if I'm ready? Tune in June 3rd.
Do you think people have been underestimating you then, or do you feel that you get the respect that you feel like you deserve?
I've been the underdog my whole life, and I don't care. I'm not supposed to be here. Max Holloway is not supposed to be talking to you, to any of you guys. I'm not supposed to be here. You know, so it is what it is. It has come to a point I don't even care. You know, action speaks louder than words, and you know, I've been doing a lot of actions. You know, there's all these hype trains on everybody. I just told them, you know, I just was telling somebody, I forget who it was, on an interview. I think it was Damien, not Damien Martin, but Thomas, for UFC. And I told him, he's like, what about the hype and this and that? I'm like, man, you know, like the whole hype thing about these guys coming out, like all the young guys, Sage and your rear. I'm like, guys, I'm 25 years old. I'm young as shit. What the hell is my hype? What the hell? Jump on me, you know? Like what? I don't have a side comb, you know. I rock a fade. I guess I need a side comb, and I need some nice shoes and some glasses. I don't do that, you know. That's not me. I like dressing up when it comes time. You know, I got an awesome suit guy that Todd Goldsmith, and he always hooks it up for my suit. This next suit is gonna be nice for this fight, but you know, I'm not flashing that whatever. But like I said, you know, action speaks louder than words. Anybody can talk, but you still gotta walk. You know, I'm making the walk. You know, I'm talking too, but nobody seems to be grabbing. But we see. You know, June 3rd is right around the corner, and I'm excited. I just can't wait to do it. You know, it's been a long time coming. I just can't wait to fight. You know, This is what I really believe I was put on this earth to do. I believe I was put on this earth to fight, and you know, June 3rd I get to go against one of the greatest, and we'll see what happens.
Max, you're going into this with the interim belt. I mean, are you treating this fight like it's your first title defense, or do you feel like you really need to beat Jose to solidify it?
You know, like I said before, you know, the belt is the belt. It's cool to have. You know, I don't, you know, I like be calling champ. You know, I like when people see me like, hey, the champ in Hawaii and whatever. That's cool as shit. You know, to me, I think that's super sick. But the belt is the belt, but it goes back to what I said. You know, I want the undisputed career. You know, at the end of the day, the belt, it is what it is. But I want big pay. I want big paydays. I want the stats. I want to make sure my son is okay when he's going to college and stuff, and our family is all good. And then, you know, it's a belt. It's a thing, you know. It is what it is, you know. I love the things that come with the belt, you know. If the free food, the free dinners when you go sit down, you know, people being nice to you and stuff. So it's awesome, you know. I love the belt, but this is just another fight, you know. You can't change anything dramatically now. Why am I gonna change anything, you know? It's always why fix something that's not broken, you know? I add on to it, you know. It's great. So we're not trying to change anything. We're adding. I'm adding. You know, over here, people is like, oh, I think I need to change this. No, I'm over here thinking I need to add, you know. You know, everybody watch Fast and the Furious, you know. They don't try to change the engine. They just add NOS, you know.
In your mind, what do you think you need to do to have that undisputed career you talk about?
June 3rd is one of the steps. You know, I just got to keep winning, you know, winning and stats and numbers and you know, title defenses and all this stuff come into play, you know. You got to keep winning, you know. Keep showing the world why you the baddest man in the world, you know, on this planet, you know. So that's what I gotta do, is just keep winning.
Max, you said you've been an underdog your entire life. How has that prepared you for this moment, this biggest fight of your career?
A lot, you know. It's like, you know, I knew at a young age to just accept the fact that people don't owe you nothing, you know. A lot of people go through as well, like, oh, the world owes me something, this person owes me something, you do something nice for them, now they owe me something. No, you know, like, nobody owes you shit, you know, in this life. That's real. That's 100%, you know. It's, if you want anything, go out there, work hard, and go get it, you know. Don't think anybody owes you anything. Once you start thinking a mindset, I'm owed something, you're in the wrong mindset, you know. And being an underdog was just like, I just want to work everything. I don't want to say anything is given to me, this and that. I wanted to work my ass off. And, you know, my papa instilled that from a young age. I remember, like, coming home from school, you know, got to do your homework. Got to do homework, then you can go play, do your chores. Every Saturday and Sunday, he'd wake us up. We'd have to pull weeds and stuff first, and then we could go and play and stuff. So it's whatever you want something, you got to work hard, you know, and go after it.
Is that you still look at yourself as the underdog as you're about to face Aldo, or do you look at him as you're his equal?
I look at me like I'm the greatest, you know. That's that, and this ain't cockiness. Everybody's like, oh man, this kid is so cocky, he talks and blah blah blah. I'm like, this is confidence. You guys need to know the difference. Cockiness is over here saying wild make-believe shit. I'm saying facts, and I'm saying real stuff. This is confidence. If you guys don't have this confidence in whatever you do, you're gonna suck. I'm sorry, but straight up, you're gonna suck at whatever you do. If you're not confident in what you're doing, then why do it? Anything I said it in the countdown, in the preview, you guys heard. I never ever wanted to be average in my life. Why? Who the hell wants to go his life just making it by? I never ever want to make it by. I never did. I always wanted to be. I was playing high school baseball. I wanted to be the best damn guy on the field. So off the field, I was making sure I was finishing my homework early in recesses. So when I went to stuff, I didn't have to worry about going home after practice doing homework. That's just the little stuff. So it's like I don't want to be average. I look at him. He's a human being. I'm a human being. At the end of the day, we all bleed red. That's the way regular Max thinks. We all humans. If somebody came in here, stabbed us, all in the same spot, we're all gonna bleed out. Just the same. But at the end of the day, when you over here thinking that you're gonna come in here and try to hurt me, in the octagon and stuff, I think I'm greater. I think I'm the best. When it comes to fighting, I believe I'm the best fighter alive, walking this planet Earth. And if you don't have that confidence going into anything you do, whatever you do, a doctor or a reporter, then what the hell are you doing it for? Why even try?
We've heard you say that you've had your eye on Aldo since you were 17. Mm-hmm. Can you just sort of put into perspective what it means for you to go from being a kid, seeing him, he was running the division, dominating, to now you're actually about to face this guy as a grown man?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's the truth. I was watching this at WEC, and I said on SportsCenter, I don't know if I said it already, but train to idols becoming rivals, and I'm right here, so I'm excited, and it's just time, like I said, it goes back to what I said. It's time for a new era. This guy, he's still a young guy, still yet, but you gotta say a veteran because he started so young. He started when I pretty much started. I started seeing him when he was 20, 21 or 23. Yeah, around there. In the WC. So, it's just I can't wait to fight. This guy is pretty crazy to think that much years, 8 years, that he's still at the top. So it's amazing. It's amazing. I get to get the shot at fighting a person in Aldo, and I'm just ready for. I'm just grateful for the opportunity, and I just can't wait. I can't wait to be in the same octagon with the guy, and show you guys what we've been working hard for the last 6 to 8 weeks.
What did 17-year-old Max think of Jose as you were watching on TV, WEC? What do you remember thinking about that day?
I wanted to fight him. I just wanted that. That's what I wanted to fight. I thought he was a strike. I'm a kickboxer, and he was whooping everybody's ass in kickboxing with Muay Thai with the leg kicks. So I was like, damn, I want to kickbox this guy, or I wasn't really into MMA. We was practicing MMA a little bit, but I was saying man, I wanted to fight this guy, Now the chance is here, 25-year-old Max. I get to have the chance,
I'm curious what you think about how active you would be. One critique people do have of Jose is that he didn't fight often enough. So if you're able to become undisputed champ, how often would you like to fight?
2 to 3 times a year, maybe squeeze in the 4th one. We see how my body is, but I always fight 4 times. In this 10 fight win streak, I think 2 years in a row I fought 4 times. So it's or 3, 4, 4, 3. I want to fight. I want to stay that active, and beat 3, and the way you get money, is you want to fight out your contract. You fight your contract, you do more fight. You fight your contract, you get bigger paydays. So at the end of the day, for sure, I wanted to fight at least 2 to 3 times a year, at least, and then we see what happens, But like you said, the body, he was hurt and stuff, whatever. And you can't control that kind of stuff. But I want to defend at least 2 or 3 times a year if my body allows me to.
I'm curious what you're thinking right now of the Division 2. Obviously, Frankie Edgar just had an amazing fight against Yair Rodriguez. We know Cub is doing well. There's a lot of guys on that list that you've already fought, but if you are victorious, who do you expect would be your first defense?
If I win, I think it's a toss-up. It's whoever, I always wanted to fight Frankie. I wanted to fight Frankie on the 205 card. I was tripping out that they gave that fight to Stevens, and he's one of the guys I always wanted to fight too. He's on the top of the list, Me and Cub, I'd gladly like to do that rematch again. He's showing what's up. Ever since ever since our fight. So that would be a great fight. You know, we got Korean Zombie back in the mix. You know, him and Ricardo is fighting. So that should be a fun fight. There's a bunch of fights that I want to fight. You know, like I said, I'm not trying to run through the division and pick and choose these guys. You know, I'm cleaning them out. You know, I want them all. So when you go down the top 10 list and it's time for another title defense, it'd be like, holy, who the hell are we fighting? You know, like Demetrius. That's a good problem. It's a bad and good problem. You know, he's cleaning out. You know, I want to be Mr. Clean Out, so that's what I want to do.
I can't remember I asked you before, but do you appreciate that last moment with Ricardo almost as much as everybody else does? Like, do you understand how iconic that is now?
Yeah, you know, it was funny. I just did an interview on the way, and the guy was saying, like, how come the Holloway didn't get picked up in at middle schools and stuff, you know, with the fidget spinners? I was like, I don't know, man. I question myself too. I was like, I probably in Wyandotte picks up and you go home with a black eye and all. I don't think so, but yeah, you know, that was fun. You know, that was cool. You know, they forever immortalized me in the game, and only my guy can do it. So that was great. You know, that was just. Sometimes you just gotta live in the moment, you know. I lived in the moment for that and paid off.
Back since we were talking about the division, I mean, is Conor even part of the mix anymore, or do you feel like the division's kind of moved on without him at this point?
Yeah, you know, like at the end of the day, you know, people keep talking about the belts and whatever and this and that, and you know, this guy's gonna fight. They're saying that he can fight Floyd. He's getting ready for Floyd or whatever. And I think the division has moved on. You know, this whole Floyd Mayweather talk and him making 50 mil or 75 mil, whatever the talk is. Like, would you guys come back to MMA after a fight like that? Like, you know, like this guy, you know, Conor should be proud. You know, everybody tells us, oh, he's a champ, blah, blah, blah. Like, he should be proud, you know. Conor was a champ, you know. He should hold his belt. He should hold his belt up high and proud, you know. And at the end of the day, he's the 2015 champ, you know. This is 2 years later already, and he never ever once talked about defending the 45 belt ever. Not ever. He not ever once talked about it. He talked about defending the 55 belt more than the 45 belt, you know. It's time to move on from this chapter in life already, guys. You know. At the end of the day, we're not gonna tell LeBron, hey LeBron, you can't show your 3 rings. That was 3 years, you know. No, be proud. You won it that time. But then you got to play again to keep holding this title championship, and he's not doing it, you know. And fair play to him, you know. He's not that type of guy, you know. He's just not that type of guy. He's always looking over the fence and looking for better stuff. And you know, we're grateful for the fans he bring in and whatever. But at the end of the day, you know, his fans love him for that. Always looking for the next big thing, you know. Well, my fans, they love me because they know I want to be a king, and they want me to see the conquer, and they want me to see defend. You know, I want to defend my throne and keep doing it. And that's just not what he is, you know. That's his life, you know. That's his life. That's the way it goes on. I think people need to like just move on from that already, and especially from the 45. You know, this guy, if he gladly wants to come back after this fight, you know, it's Dana White knows my number. He knows the number. You know, you can get it done. But at the end of the day, after getting so many meals like that, you'd figure to think if he ever gonna fight again, you know. So you guys yourself that, you know. So
you talked about how active you want to be and how active you've been over the last few years. Do you think that helps you treat this more like any other fight? Like you don't have to get too up for anything if you've been used to making that fight and getting in there? Oh
yeah, for sure. You know, that's why I like staying active. You know, it makes me stay in the gym. You know, it makes me stay in the gym more, you know. It makes you learn, and I always wanted to be ahead of the game, you know. This is a learning curve, you know. It's coming to a point where it's this game is like just turning, and you're seeing crazy martial arts coming out of nowhere now, and this and that. So, yeah, man, you know, I think so. Helping, there's pros and cons to it, you know. It might highly chance of getting hurt, and then there's pros and cons to only fighting once or twice a year, you know. So. You know, I'm that guy that like to stay active, like to stay, you know, like, and they only remember your last fight anyway. So the more times you fight, the more famous you get, and the more helpful that becomes.
How much of an impact has your career had on the scene in Hawaii in terms of other fighters, and have you noticed that you've started to get more guys involved? I mean, obviously BJ, and there's a lot of history there, but have you seen things kind of growing?
Oh yeah. Oh yes. It's been huge. MMA Hawaii always been big, but now it's getting bigger again. And then we got a bunch of Hawaiian guys in the UFC. I got my boy Yancy Madaris. He's fighting Eric Silva on the card. He's opening up the pay-per-view card. Did not miss that fight. And it's just big. We got a bunch of guys here. And just like the media outlet there been covering a lot of MMA now, like the news stations. I've been having grandmas and grandpas come up to me at when I'm flying or whatever, and they come up to me crying, telling me thank you for what I'm doing. I'm like, guys, this is amazing, a lot of my fans in Hawaii is probably old people because they watch the news, so yeah, they come, they cry to me, they cry on me. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm in shock, so it's great to see. It's definitely getting bigger, and hopefully after all said and done, everything goes my way. We get a UFC Hawaii. Our fans is waiting for it. We want it. Let's go Dana White. Let's go media. Keep hashtagging UFC Hawaii, and let's enjoy our beautiful sun out there.
Yeah. This is a little off topic from your fight, obviously, but I know you grew up in a place where tough streets and things like that. I'm just curious what your take is on what happened between Chris Cyborg and Angelo Magana. Did you hear about that?
Yeah,
that situation, obviously, right. So what's your take on that? Because people seem to come down pretty hard on one side or the other.
Yeah, it's at the end of the day, if you're gonna talk shit on Twitter, and you're gonna see the press, you gotta think something's gonna happen, and then when someone gets in your face that close, and whatever, it's just like you need to be fight ready. I don't know. I would, but then even with the police stuff and whatever, it happened. The way it was handled, I would have been like, no, she didn't hit me. I would have just said it. She didn't hit me. It's a fighter thing. I was talking all this shit on Twitter. You got punched in the face. You should have punched me back. Or I'm gonna punch you back. Boom, boom. It's gonna be fast. We're gonna fight, and it is what it is. It's like, what do you expect? You got a bunch of fighters that talk shit, harass each other. You put some alcohol on them, or you see or you get a friend that's with them that's hyping them up and telling them, you gonna let that guy talk shit to you like that? It's like, who knows? Somebody might have been in Cyborg ear. Cyborg's not even like that, but one of her person's like, oh, see Angela, so she kind of feels like I gotta do something now, so she goes and do it. So yeah, I think it's just I think it's just the whole way it handled whatever. UFC got this nice new facility. They should have just went inside. I would have told them I would have just told Cyborg, if I was Cyborg, I would have just told her, we got this new facility that they're checking us. They got a ring in there. Let's put on 16-ounce gloves and try and take each other's head off, and then shake hands and go on our way. So yeah, that's what I would have done.